I'll keep the intro super short and just get to the point. We good with that? I think so too. So to truly understand if Jason can survive the Resident Evil universe, I believe it's important to understand his powers and abilities, the stuff he can do, and I mean both physical and what you may call metaphysical or supernatural. So let's dive into Jason's powers, and then we can check out what the Resident Evil monsters pack. That should give us all a better understanding of the subject, wouldn't you agree? Before we get into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. How powerful and resilient is Jason? Need I say that Jason Voorhees is renowned for his amazing serial killing abilities, and that he's basically an unstoppable force. One of his most prominent traits is his superhuman strength. Even as a human, he could effortlessly impale victims and break through windows with a single blow. Across several movies in the franchise, he's done it all, from crushing skulls and twisting heads with ease, to demolishing doors with little to no effort. Jason could have been the real American hero if he was not so bloodthirsty. His physical strength allows him to lift and throw individuals weighing over 100 pounds with ease, and he consistently overpowers normal people. Usually with strength, people show an extraordinary tolerance for pain. It's almost like strength and resilience are always happily married. So, as a living being, he could endure injuries that would be fatal or at the very least crippling to others. He survived being hanged, took an axe to the head, took a machete through the shoulder, and was impaled through the skull. While he reacted to pain in human ways, his resilience was exceptional. After his resurrection as an undead entity, he became unresponsive to pain altogether and functioned in situations that would have incapacitated anyone else. However, in Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday, he's heard groaning when shot by the FBI, so there might be some lingering sensitivity. The resurrection also grants him revenant zombie physiology. Unlike typical zombies that crave human flesh, Jason retains his human personality and memories. He continues his relentless pursuit with intelligence intact. Jason's also pretty darn stealthy. Not like a ninja or a cat, but for an undead, crazy-ass serial killer, he's pretty good. He can move undetected and appear near his victims without warning. His skill in slipping in and out of areas unnoticed allows him to stalk effectively. He can swim at incredible speeds, unhindered by water resistance, enabling surprise attacks from unexpected angles. This is vividly shown in Part 8, when he silently eliminates Charles. In fact, for someone like himself, he's also pretty intelligent. He sets strategic traps for his victims, restrains them to avoid early detection, and arranges bodies as obstacles or diversions. His impeccable sense of direction lets him return to Crystal Lake from long distances without fail. It's like a homing ability, you could say. Each of his skills is unique and creatively executed. While his broader intellectual capabilities remain unclear, his cunning and strategic planning are evident throughout the series. Also, after his resurrection as a revenant zombie in Part 6, he became functionally immortal. He no longer ages, and injuries or illnesses that would be fatal to a normal human heal rapidly without truly affecting him. His regenerative powers allow him to recover lost or damaged tissue at an accelerated rate. Bullet wounds and knife attacks have little effect on him, and while his regeneration isn't perfect, leaving him with an undead appearance of exposed bones and deteriorating tissue, it ensures he remains a constant threat. His body is immune to poisons, viruses, diseases, and bacteria. However, there are instances where he can be sedated, as seen when Freddy Krueger subdued him with syringes in Freddy vs. Jason, and later when he was restrained using an unknown sedative administered intravenously. When defeated, he enters a hibernation state and can be revived by external forces, either supernatural or human. Examples include Tina Shepard accidentally awakening him with her telekinetic powers, and Freddy Krueger resurrecting him to instill fear. Though not officially confirmed, Jason may possess teleportation abilities. He's highly proficient with weapons, and is capable of using anything at his disposal effectively, and dear old Jason does not shy away from improvising weapons when needed. His hunting and tracking skills are exceptional. He relentlessly pursues individuals or groups over great distances, and instantly adapts to his surroundings. In his upgraded form known as Uber Jason, which he got after nanotechnology resurrected and enhanced him, his abilities are dramatically amplified. His body becomes composed of an unknown metal substance, which made him nearly invulnerable to bullets and similar attacks. His strength increased significantly, allowing him to punch through reinforced steel doors with a single blow. He can survive in the vacuum of space without adverse effects, thanks to the enhancements from nanotechnology. So that's Jason for you, shining like a black murderous moon in a blue sky. Now that we have our first contender, let's check out the Resident Evil universe and its monsters. The Tyrant Project was initiated in 1988 by the Umbrella Corporation, with the goal of creating an advanced BOW, short for bioorganic weapon, for military use. The existing T-virus caused brain matter necrosis in infected subjects, limiting the success of earlier BOWs like the Cerberus and Hunter projects. To overcome this, Umbrella divided its research efforts. The American branch focused on enhancing physical strength, while the European branch aimed to preserve intelligence in the mutants. The ultimate objective was to develop a human-based bioweapon with near-human intelligence and exceptional physical abilities, capable of understanding and executing a wide range of commands. Researchers discovered that only individuals with certain genetic markers could mutate into tyrants, without severe mental degradation. These compatible subjects were exceedingly rare, estimated at 1 in 10 million people. This scarcity caused delays, prompting scientists to engineer a new strain of the T-virus to increase the number of suitable candidates. By late spring of 1998, the Epsilon strain of the T-virus was completed. This new version accelerated mutations, significantly increasing a subject's size and strength, or reducing the extent of brain damage. However, the rapid physical changes were often fatal during the transformation process. To proceed with testing, the research team obtained several convicts as test subjects. The exact number is unclear, but surviving tyrants were labeled T001, T002, and T011, suggesting there may have been at least 11 participants. The first prototype, T001, was eventually abandoned due to mental deterioration and skin necrosis, which researchers believed resulted from administering too high a dose of the virus. This failure provided valuable insights that helped refine the creation of T002 and T011. When an outbreak occurred at the Arklay laboratory in May 1998, a cloned embryo of T002 was developed and evacuated to ensure the project's continuation. The Tyrant Project produced two main types of tyrants, the infiltration type and the combat type. Infiltration types were designed to blend into human populations for covert operations. They appeared more human and were typically dressed in heavy clothing to conceal any abnormalities. Combat types, in contrast, were intended for open warfare. They were taller, often deformed, and usually unclothed, emphasizing their role as formidable weapons on the battlefield. All tyrants exhibited increased production of human growth hormone, leading to significant growth in size. The T103 series stood close to 7 feet tall, while later models produced by other parties reached up to 12 feet. Their physical abilities were extraordinary. They could leap several stories high, break through concrete walls, flip over tanks, and even deflect rockets. Combat-type tyrants often had extended arms ending in claws capable of impaling humans. Infiltration types did not possess these claws unless their power limiters were disabled. An interesting feature of tyrants was the presence of additional hearts. For T002, scientists surgically grafted a large animal heart onto its chest, creating a new circulatory system. This practice might have become standard in later models, either through surgery or genetic engineering, to enhance their resilience and stamina. A super tyrant comes to life when a tyrant's power limiter gets bypassed. The power limiter was a device designed to prevent uncontrolled mutations. If a tyrant sustained significant damage, the limiter could fail, leading to further mutation. Super tyrants developed increased muscle mass and grew claws, becoming even more powerful. However, they lose the ability to follow commands and enter a berserk state, driven by pure aggression. These super tyrants are significantly harder to defeat than standard models due to their enhanced strength and durability. Now the million-dollar question. Okay, maybe not a million, but you get the point. Could the Resident Evil viruses affect Jason? So, in order to answer this question, I will take into consideration the two most infamous viruses from the Resident Evil universe. Of course, I'm talking about the T-virus and the G-virus. The T-virus is a retrovirus that infiltrates host cells by merging with the cell membrane and inserting its RNA into the host DNA through reverse transcription. This process reprograms the cell to produce new virus particles, which then infect neighboring cells, perpetuating the cycle. If Jason Voorhees were exposed to the T-virus, infection could occur through several avenues: direct injection, contaminated water, or contact with infected bodily fluids, such as bites or wounds. I understand that Jason might have a lot of resilience, but the T-virus is super strong, and it's plausible that he could become infected. Upon infection, the T-virus would begin altering Jason's cellular structure. In most cases, the virus induces mutations that enhance physical capabilities, but cause brain damage, leading to zombie-like behavior. However, certain individuals known as adapters experience significant physical enhancements with minimal cognitive impairment due to rare genetic traits. Jason already exhibits superhuman strength, rapid regeneration, and a high tolerance for pain. the T-Virus could amplify these attributes. His healing abilities might become even more accelerated, allowing him to recover from injuries almost instantaneously. His strength could increase beyond its already formidable level, making him nearly unstoppable. The virus might also trigger further mutations in Jason's physiology. He could develop new physical characteristics, such as hardened skin acting as natural armor, heightened senses, or additional appendages like claws or spines. These changes would make him an even more lethal adversary. Typically, the T-Virus leads to some degree of brain damage. For Jason, whose cognitive functions are already limited, well, since he's a zombie, this could result in a complete loss of any remaining human reasoning. However, if he's an adapter, he might retain his current level of intelligence while benefiting from the virus's enhancements. Over time, the virus can cause advanced mutations. Similar to how some infected become more dangerous forms like lickers or crimson heads, Jason could evolve into a more monstrous entity. His appearance might become more grotesque, and his abilities could reach new heights, surpassing any previous limitations. Now let's talk about the G-Virus, which is known for causing extreme and rapid mutations in the human body. It works by infecting nearby cells and converting them into G-cells. These cells then produce more of the virus, allowing it to spread throughout the body. The mutation often begins asymmetrically from the point of infection, leading to significant physical changes. If Jason Voorhees were infected with the G-Virus, the effects could be profound. Given his already abnormal physiology and regenerative abilities, the virus might interact uniquely with his body. The infection could occur through direct contact with the virus or by implantation of a G-embryo. As the virus spreads, Jason's body would begin to mutate. Similar to Dr. Birkin's transformation, Jason might experience asymmetrical growth. For example, one of his arms could become significantly more muscular or develop new appendages. The G-Virus triggers regeneration when the body is injured, but with each regeneration, the DNA is rewritten. This means that any wounds Jason sustains could cause him to mutate further, leading to drastic changes in his appearance and abilities. Over time, Jason might develop additional limbs or even new functional organs. His body could grow extra eyes in random places, a common trait seen in other G-Virus mutations. These eyes might enhance his senses, making him an even more efficient hunter. Once again, his ribcage could transform into protective armor or even a new set of jaws, adding to his already formidable arsenal. The G-Virus also enables asexual reproduction. Jason might gain the ability to produce and implant embryos into hosts to create new G-creatures. However, these offspring might suffer from generational defects, as seen with other G-mutants, and may not mature fully. In the case of Sherry Birkin, a vaccine administered shortly after injection prevented extreme mutations and granted her regenerative abilities without significant physical changes. If Jason were to receive such a vaccine, which is unlikely given his circumstances, it might halt the mutation process. However, without intervention, the G-Virus would continue to alter his body in unpredictable ways. Now the only question that remains is, can Jason survive the survival horror setting? In the survival horror setting of the Resident Evil universe, Jason Voorhees' skills would make him a force to be reckoned with, there's no doubt about it. Oh, and for this one, we're assuming that Jason is not infected and has to face one of the Resident Evil monsters. So his superhuman strength allows him to overpower enemies and break through obstacles that would halt ordinary characters. This strength means he doesn't rely on conventional weapons, which is advantageous in a world with limited resources. He can use almost any object as a weapon and would improvise with what's available, a crucial skill when ammunitions and supplies are scarce. Jason's high tolerance for pain and his regenerative abilities mean that traps and injuries that would incapacitate others might only slow him down momentarily. He can endure significant damage and keep moving, which is vital when facing the myriad dangers of Resident Evil's environment. His stealth abilities also give him an edge. He can move silently and appear unexpectedly, which would help him avoid unnecessary confrontations with hordes of infected creatures. His tracking and hunting skills would be particularly useful, in a world where knowing your environment means the difference between life and death. Jason's ability to navigate and adapt to his surroundings would help him survive. He could set traps for enemies or avoid ambushes, using the terrain to his advantage. Despite not being his most highlighted trait, would aid in overcoming the complex challenges presented in the game. However, Jason's unstoppable nature could be a double-edged sword. While his resilience makes him nearly invincible against physical threats, it might lead him to underestimate the strategic elements essential in Resident Evil. The game's environment often requires careful planning, and sometimes avoidance rather than direct confrontation. Jason's tendency to face threats head-on could put him at risk in situations that demand stealth or puzzle-solving skills. Additionally, his relentless pursuit might make him susceptible to traps specifically designed to contain or eliminate powerful beings like him. In Resident Evil, enemies often require strategic methods to defeat, and a lack of caution could be detrimental. His possible vulnerability to psychological manipulation could also be exploited by antagonists, who use mind games or illusions, common tactics in the series. Marvelous verdict. In conclusion, Jason's abilities would provide significant advantages in the Resident Evil world, such as strength, endurance, and adaptability. These skills align well with the survival aspect of the environment. However, his unstoppable nature might also be a liability, as it could lead to overconfidence and a disregard for the strategic nuances necessary for survival. Balancing his raw power with tactical awareness would be crucial for him to navigate this perilous world successfully. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.